Richest Man of Babylon. Okay, so it's a book about financial freedom. It's a book that kind of talks about financial freedom. But we're not going to kind of focus only on the learnings from the book. There are 5 basic learnings from the book which we will talk about. But I want to kind of focus a lot more on the impact of finance even on our lives, on our mental well-being, right? And how it is important for us to take care of that in order to ensure that we don't drift away in our lives, because a lot of our mental issues actually are linked to finances, so the book is surprisingly very small. It is about 150 pages. Okay, you can read it in like one go. Like you rightly said, it is in a story format. Okay, it is actually based on almost 3,000 years ago, the story of people living in Babylon, okay, in the city of Babylon, and how their financial freedom actually, or their financial wisdom actually spread all over the world. Surprisingly, this book was written in 1926. Okay, it's not a recent book. Almost 100 years ago.
Age-old wisdom.
Yeah. So we can imagine that even today, the book is very popular. It sells. It continues to attract people because the wisdoms that these people spoke about are actually ageless and timeless. Because the wisdom is not coming from today. It's coming from almost 3,000 years ago. So it is a story, like you said, that it's in a story format. It's a narrative about two friends who. So the book starts with the fact that there are these two friends. One of them is sitting outside his house. He's not done any work in the entire day, and he's just daydreaming. And his friend comes to him and asks him that, can you give me a loan for 2 coins, or whatever they used to call it, shillings or whatever. So he said, can you give me 2 coins as a loan? So he said, I haven't worked today, so I cannot give you 2 coins. So he asks him a question. He said, if you haven't worked today and you don't have 2 coins, why are you wasting your time the whole day? What were you doing the whole day? Why haven't you finished the task at hand? He was a chariot maker. He used to make chariots. And there was a project that was sitting for him. He did not complete the project. He, in fact, decided to daydream. And what was the dream he was doing? He dreamt the previous night about, becoming very rich. So he started living, he started thinking about his life, that, okay, if I become very rich, then what will happen? But he forgot to work during that entire day. Okay. Then these two friends started talking, and they started realizing that they have been very hardworking people. They've worked all their life. They have a great skill, which is making chariots or whatever that they do, and they also have a very interesting, like fan following. The people regularly come to them, give them work, they recognize their skills, etc. But they said, why is it that despite working for so many years and working so hard, we don't even have 2 coins to lend to each other? So they started thinking and introspecting that what is it that has gone wrong? We are good at it. We've been working for so many years. Have we really reached a level that we can't even loan each other like 2 coins? Where did our money go? And that's when they started realizing that they needed wisdom. They needed some wisdom. So they went and met this guy who was by the name of Arkad, who was actually known as the richest man of Babylon. Arkad had a very unique status in the society. He was extremely rich. His purse was never empty. But at the same time, he was very humble. He was very down to earth. If anybody went to him asking for help, he would help them. He would invest in their businesses. He would loan them the money if the need be. He was also open to giving them charity. Right? He was also open to helping them with ideas and giving them advice about things. So despite being this wealthy individual, he was not very arrogant. He was very down to earth. So these two friends actually go to Arkad and ask him for wisdom. He said, this is our situation. We are now in this story that we don't have money. We are skilled. We are hardworking. We know what to do in our jobs. We are very good at our jobs. We get regular projects. We get regular money, but yet we don't have even 2 coins to lend to each other. Why is it that we are not rich? Why is it that we are not rich and you are rich? Whereas, we've also worked almost the same amount of years that you have worked. And that's when Arkad starts telling them the stories and start telling them the wisdoms of life, which kind of relates to what we are going to talk about now. So there are 5 basic principles that the book talks about. And this will answer your question as well as to, despite earning more, why are you still not saving? So the first principle that he talks about in the book is that a part of all I earn is mine. A part of all I earn is mine. Now, you may argue and say, okay, the salary that I'm earning is mine. In reality, it is not. It is not yours. Now, we live in this country where there is no income tax. We're happy. But in other countries, specifically from Asian countries or America or Europe, etc., you get your salary only after tax is deducted from your salary.
Almost all of the world.
Right? Almost all over the world, other than the Middle East, rest everywhere else. And in the Middle East also it will come eventually. Alright? So everywhere that we go, people get their salaries. Like when I was in India, I used to get my salary after 30% of that was deducted. So you are actually earning for someone else. Now who else are you earning for? You're earning for that landlord that you're paying rent to. You're earning for that phone that you're carrying in your hand because you're paying a bill every month. You're earning for the electricity. You're earning for that coffee shop that you go and sit. You're earning for that Uber driver or Careem driver that you use every day. You're earning for that car that you probably bought, right? You're earning for the petrol company because they're giving you petrol. At the end of the day, you are earning for everybody else. So why can't you earn for yourself? How many of us actually pay a salary to our own selves? Is there anybody who pays salary to themselves? So why can't we pay a salary to ourselves for earning for so many other people? We think the salary that we are getting in the bank, let's say we get 10,000 riyals a month. We think 10,000 riyal belongs to us? No. At the end of the month, how much are you left with? Sometimes zero.
Sometimes you borrow.
Sometimes you borrow. So then how come it is yours? It is not ours. We are earning to pay a price to live in this world. Right? But why can't we pay our own self? So the first thing that the principle in Babylon used to be followed was pay yourself first. This is something that every rich guy on this planet does. Even before they start a company, even if before they hire people, they first fix their own salary. And usually they say that the salary should be 10% of what you're earning. So if you're earning 10,000 riyals a month, 1,000 riyals is what you pay yourself. So what do you do with this thing? You take that money out on the very first day when your salary hits the account and keep it in a separate bank account and forget about it. This is the money that you are saving for your future. Okay? You are keeping it to yourself. You are not touching this money unless it's a matter of life and death. This is money that you think in your head you never received. So if you are getting 10,000 riyals, think that you are getting only 9,000. So the first principle of making money or getting rich as per the book is that you should pay your own self.
So by saying pay yourself, the meaning is making savings.
Yes. Yes. So again, paying yourself is the first step. It is not even making savings. He talks about savings later.
Just keep some cash aside.
Keep some cash aside, which is important for you, which will come handy in a rainy day. You may put it in a bank account, which probably gives you interest or not gives you interest. You may put it in a mutual fund. You may put it somewhere else. But 1/10 of your income should be kept aside with the clear idea that you are not going to touch this. This is not to be touched at all. This has.
So we'll come to savings and we can
Yes.
narrow it down on
Yes.
broader picture of that.
Yes. Yes. So there is a. Sorry. Go ahead.
This is for like bad situation, like a rainy day.
Yes.
Rainy day fund, yeah.
Yes, like a rainy day fund. Because what happens is, suppose tomorrow you suddenly lose your job. What do you do if you are in a transit phase? What do you do? Where do you go? Which is the money that's going to save you? Or, for example, after you retire, this is more like your retirement fund that you are putting somewhere. he talks about the formula of compound interest in the book itself. He says if you invest $10,000 today and you put it in a bank for about let's say at 5% interest, or whether it's bank or whether it's any other savings which is giving you probably a 5% interest, in 40 years $10,000 can become $500,000 without doing anything. At a 15%, at a 20% interest, that same $10,000 could become $14 million if you go with the power of compound interest. But the problem is we don't invest that $10,000. We don't even save that money. Because if we understand the power of compound interest, okay, which is you earn interest on the interest over a period of time, you will be able to realize that by doing nothing, just putting that money aside and putting it in a saving scheme or a bank or something that is giving you regular income, you would be able to grow that pie. Yes.
There was this movie, I don't know if you guys have seen it, called Get Hard, Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell. And the premise is Kevin Hart is really poor and he's asking Will Ferrell, who's an asshole. And he doesn't give money to anybody. And he's like, okay, how did you get so rich? He said, compound interest. I was like, okay, this guy was filthy rich.
Yes.
So I Googled it. But I never knew how to get benefit of that. Where do I invest that will give me compound interest?
So that is what he says. He says first, pay yourself. So to answer your questions about saving, he typically talks in the book about 70-10-10 principle. 70-10-10-10 principle. Okay? We'll talk about the rest of the things over there. The second thing that he talks about is the fact that you need to save for your future. Right? Again, saving for your future means only 10% is what he's recommending you to save for your future. So 10% you've kept aside for the rainy day. 10% is something that you invest immediately for your future. You invest. Make sure you put it in maybe a high risk investment. Okay, so that you know your money can grow faster.
Or business.
The first 10% is something that you keep where you keep it in a place where you know it is going to be completely secure for you. You are not going to get burnt out with that money. You're not going to lose that money. The second 10% is where he says invest in something which is going to give you more returns. Okay? He talks about a concept of make money work for you. He says that you should do something where money is going to work for you. So when you're sleeping, your money is working for you. So the best thing for you to do is to invest in companies, which nowadays we can do through stock markets or through mutual funds or buying real estate or whatever. Passive income. So you need to generate passive income. So even if you know that, let's say tomorrow you don't have an active income coming in, you don't have a job, you don't have a salary coming in, you at least know that, okay, my bills are taken care of because I'm getting some amount of passive income in some way or the other. So he talks about the fact that 10% of what we earn should be invested to generate passive income. And there are various ways and means of how we could generate passive income. Now, most important thing that he talks about, like you said, I don't know where to put that money. So he talks about the fact that don't shy away from taking financial help or going to an advisor. Because going to somebody is the start of, it's the start of your success journey itself. And this is something that is true not just in finances, but even otherwise in life. A lot of people who go through stresses, a lot of people who go through illnesses, like it's very simple, right? We get a cut on our hand or whatever. We go to a doctor and we seek professional help. We tell him, please dress this up, I've got hurt. Okay? But why is it that when we have a problem with our mental state, we shy away from going to a therapist? Why is it that we don't go to a coach? Why is it that we don't go to a financial coach? Why is it that we don't go and approach somebody like an educational counselor or even a career counselor for that matter? There are professional people who are equipped to help us. The moment you go to these people, it's like 50% of your job is done there itself because you have identified a problem. So if you don't know where to invest, find a person who will help you how to invest, right? Find out somebody who's equipped to help you in that sense, who's possibly done this in his life, who's possibly made some business, like how these two friends went to Arkad because Arkad had made a living out of doing the same thing. he also used to be a skillsman. But he became the richest man in Babylon only because of these principles that he followed. So never shy away from seeking help. Because if you seek help, you will be able to get it. It's very simple. If you ask, you get. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. Nobody is going to come and tell you, hey, you know what, come here, I will tell you how to invest money. And if people who do that, you have to be careful about them, because most of the time they may be scamsters. They will be like, oh, come here, I will tell you how to invest money. Nowadays we get all those emails, oh, you've turned $1 million lottery you won, or somebody died and left you an estate. I'm like, okay, if somebody died somewhere in the world, why would he leave me an estate? It's common sense. But there are lots of people who fall in that trap, and then they share their details, and then they lose whatever they have as well. So it's important to seek financial help. The most important learning from the book, which I really love, is the fact that live below your means. Okay. Now this is the answer to your problem that you said. Why is it that even despite the fact that I am earning so much, I am not able to save money? That's because we do not live below our means. So if I know that, okay, I earn 10,000 riyals, of which I have already saved 10% to my future self, 10% I have invested, okay, and there is a 10% element that we will talk about, which is for charity. 70% is what I have to live. What most of us do is we live by 110. Okay, we don't consider the investment part of it. We live by 110. But the reality is that if we have 70, the goal should be to actually save something out of that 70 also, if you can. Okay, so if you look at many of the great leaders, financial leaders in the world, somebody like Warren Buffett, till date, he's one of the richest men in the world. Till date, he stays in the same house that he bought in the 1960s. That same 2-bedroom apartment. Till date, he doesn't have a car that is like luxury or anything. He still drives one car, which he drives himself. He doesn't have a driver. Okay, he is a kind of a guy who can afford to buy a plane, but he still doesn't have like any luxury cars. Okay, because and every morning, even today, he stops by the same McDonald's to have his Coca-Cola and fries and burger for breakfast, and he spends those whatever $5, $6, $7 every day. This is his breakfast, and it's been his breakfast for the last.
It's not like
And
plus 12.
He actually drinks 3 Coca-Cola cherry a day.
A day.
But,
So
he doesn't
for
drink-
some people, once you get used to it, it becomes
Yeah.
part of your process, right? It becomes part of your life. There are so many people in America I know who don't drink water at all.
Yeah.
They survive on coffee or Coke or Pepsi, or some people on beer or whatever. It becomes part of your system. Again, it goes on to the fact that, who's made that system for us, right? Like, for example, people say when a child is born, you should give the child a milk. Okay, so you give every child a milk. Now after that, nowadays it's become fashionable, mothers telling people, oh, my child is lactose intolerant. What? How does your child become lactose intolerant? Who's made him lactose intolerant? The other day somebody was talking to me and giving me an example of this person, this lady who came and said that my 3-year-old son is vegan. Who's made him vegan? Does he even understand the concept of vegan food? Right? So the fact is, these are all things which we've only made for ourselves. Right? So anyway, now whether Warren Buffett has cholesterol, sugar, not sugar, that is a separate discussion, right? We don't want to comment on that one. But he survived for whatever 80 plus years that he's lived on this planet. He's survived
While living below his means.
while living below his means. He still doesn't have a house help. He still doesn't have a palatial house, whatever. I was watching this, seeing this video of when he and Bill Gates, they are best friends. They always get together to cook and go out and whatever. And once there was a picture of the two of them, and it showed the two of them standing in the same queue of Burger King or McDonald's, whatever, just like everybody else. And the picture, the person who actually clicked the picture actually described it to say that here are two individuals whose collective income is actually more than the entire continent of Africa, but who are still standing in the queue. None of them have a Gucci or a Prada or an Armani on themselves, None of them are wearing any of those designer shoes or anything. They are not carrying any of the major, Prada bags or Gucci bags or anything in the world. They are two simple people who are standing there in the queue to have a burger. Now, there are critics of that thing as well, but the reality is that if you live below your means, you will be able to enjoy your wealth. Okay? There is a very interesting line in the book where he says that happiness does not come by becoming rich. Happiness comes by becoming wealthy. Money. I've got money in my bank, I can do so many other things. But at the end of the month, what happens? That whole definition of richness goes for a toss because you are still struggling to meet your ends, like he defined. Right? But if he was wealthy, if he knew that he had passive income, if he knew that he had enough bank balance in the account, he could go and do a lot many more things in life. He doesn't have to worry at the end of the month, how am I going to meet my expenses?
True.
Because when you are wealthy, you can plan a lot of experiences as well. Not just for yourself, but for others. When you have wealth, you can also decide to do things for others, which are going to make a difference to others' life. Right? Today, for example, if somebody decides to open a hospital, we all feel that we should do something for charity. But can we afford to open a hospital? No, we can't. Because we are struggling to meet our own needs at this point of time. But imagine if you have wealth in your bank and you have enough money, enough resources, you will be able to do good for others as well. And that's why if you see over a period of time, and he talks about this in the book, that while you should start your goal with a 70-10-10-10 breakup of your money, over a period of time, your objective should be that it should come down to below 50. Your charity portion should increase, while your savings and your saving for the rainy day should remain at 10 and 10. But your charity portion should increase, because that is what eventually the world will remember you for. So today when you go to the US and you see a Bill Gates Foundation hospital, or even, for example, Bill Gates does a lot of work across the world, in Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia, for example. Polio eradication, etc. When you see the efforts that he's put in, that is what the world will remember him for. And he was able to do this because he had wealth. He was not dependent on one income that make you feel rich. But your wealth is something that will make you feel, that will give you the power to do so many things in life. And that is what is critical. That is what we should be aiming for. Example to someone about this driver I used to have ages ago. Okay, so at that point of time I used to run my own company. He was a driver in my company. Right? He came to me one fine day. He said, my daughter is getting married. I gave him some money. He asked for a loan. I gave him some money. Why I was able to do that? Because I had extra. Okay, and I did not take that money back from him as well, because I felt there was no need. It was okay. It was a good deed. Even today, it's been almost like 20 years to this story. At least twice or thrice in a year, this driver of mine calls me just to remind me that because of me, his daughter is doing well even today. Because all he did was that money that I gave him, he went and he bought some jewelry and gifted it to the daughter on her wedding. And that has become her wealth over the period of time. So even today, like just a few weeks back also, this guy called me and he just to ask me about me and where I was, etc. But he told me, he said, my daughter still thanks you for it. Now, I don't even remember this, but every time he calls me, I realize that, okay, maybe I did something right. But I was able to do it because I had extra money. Okay. So if we are able to give back to the society, we all dream of it, that we want to give back to the society. You may dream of starting a school where people can come and study for free. But you have that idea, but today you can't do it because you don't have the capacity, you don't have the bandwidth. But going forward, if you have that extra money, you will be able to do that. That power will come to you with wealth. If we are able to create wealth for ourselves, we'll be able to do a lot of things in life which will bring us happiness, which will bring us joy, which will bring us that satisfaction, which will bring us to this whole idea of, okay, I am going to sleep well because I did something for the world. I made a difference in the world. All of those things, and rightly, like I told you, my group in Dubai, many of them are very vocal about this, that if you don't have the money in the bank, all of this is is just, talk. Mental health and all of this is just talk. It's a reality. Our mental health is related to our financial freedom. If we don't have financial freedom in our lives, we will not be able to do the things we want to do in life. And that's why I told you at the start of this session that, they say that if you are without money, that's when your true friends come forward. You realize who are your true friends. Because the moment you stop paying for their coffee, whether they still pay for your coffee or not, is you will realize whether they were your true friends or they were just there for the sake of it. Right? You will realize who stood with you and who did not. So despite the troubling times, despite the 2.5 years of struggle that I did in my life, right, I knew, because I value the fact that my wife stood by me. And even today she says, don't worry, if it's not happening, it's okay, I'm there. Because that's the kind of, that's the kind of acceptance we did to each other. The world around us doesn't think that way. The world around us may have a different perception of it. And that causes a lot of stress, specifically to us men. It does that. Because we do not realize that what we are going through. A lot of us just go through this struggle of life without really realizing how much draining it is on our mental health and how it is impacting our lives overall. And that's why I always tell people that please come forward and talk if there is an issue. If there is a problem, if you are going through something because of your work, because of your financial situation, because of everything that is happening in life. Okay. I currently coach a client back in India who's been out of job for 2 years. He's done businesses all his life. COVID put him back by 10 years. Thankfully, he had enough money in his bank to survive. But now it's becoming extremely difficult. He's very anxious. He's going through a terrible state in his life because he doesn't know how to restart. He's been trying a lot of businesses. They've not kick-started. He obviously doesn't want to go back and do a job. He doesn't want to do a job because he's never worked for a company. He's never been in a job situation. So he's finding it very difficult. But the good part is he acknowledges that there is a problem and he's seeking help for it. So always, seek help, which is very important, which is also mentioned in the book. And at the same time, live below your means. So what happens is, for example, when you said, today I make double the money. Now let's say, for example, last year you were making 10,000 riyals. Okay? You were living decent life. You were still doing everything that you had to do. Today you got 20,000. You're still not able to kind of save something. Why? Why have you done that? What has gone wrong? Why did you think that you've got extra money? You should have thought, I never received a raise. You should still live by those means. I'm not saying that you should not benefit out of your earnings. You deserve it. But okay, do it in a percentage wise.
Yeah.
So while earlier you were supposed to stay on 7,000 riyals, now you can stay on 14,000 riyal. But what happens to those 6,000 riyals? Where did they go? What we did was we were staying on 110 and today we want to stay on 220. Right? Which is a problem. So most of us have this issue that we do not plan the way we work because we don't pay ourselves.
So
yeah,
I have some story to share.
Sure.
I have been following this book for as long as I can remember, and before I started making money, I read this book. Now I will tell you something about yesterday. I have like 3 to 4 years of work experience right now, and I'm a restaurant owner. Okay, and yet what he's saying is so true that we need help. So yesterday I went to another friend of mine who's a banker, and I asked him for help. And I said, I started one business, I have one job, but I don't know what should I do for the second business. I have some ideas, I ran them by the banker, and he said, I have that exact same problem. Let's partner together and have another business. And we are thinking of making a business plan and going forward. So this help thing doesn't only help us when we are struggling. It also helps us when we are in a better stage.
Exactly.
Yeah, it opens opportunities. And he was like, nobody comes to me and says anything. I'm looking for a partner. You came to me, so let's do this together. And I trust you, and I also trust him actually. So this is a very good thing about help, that the people who need it the most usually don't ask for help.
You stumbled on that. You came to know when we were checking.
Sorry?
You stumbled on that fact that you were looking for the same thing.
Yeah, but I did set up a meeting with him with the agenda in mind, and I told him that I will have some questions for him. So that is the first step we need to take. If there's anybody in your circle who knows, how economics works, or finance works, or banking works, it's good to set up a call with them or meet them in person for this, because it's really important. We cannot emphasize this enough.
Yeah, it is necessary. And that brings us to the next point which he talks about in the book, is what he says is invest in yourself. Okay? Invest in yourself, educate yourself. You keep learning. Do not stop learning. Because most of us, when we find a job, we get so satisfied in that thing and we say, okay, now my life is sorted. But we have to realize we live in a world, and this is something he said 3,000 years ago. Okay?
Yeah.
We live, all of these things were said 3,000 years ago. This is not yesterday's learnings. You can imagine this is so relevant even today. That time he said that keep investing in your own self. Don't stop learning. Continue learning. Because if you continue learning, your skills get enhanced. You are in a better position to progress in life. Right? So today, for example, let's say you are in a bank. Okay, you're working in a bank at a particular position. If you've studied something, if you've enhanced your skills, you've passed maybe another exam, or you've probably done, let's say, something new in finance, it is a possibility that your knowledge will now be utilized by your bank better. They may end up giving you a promotion. They may end up giving you additional responsibility because you now have acquired new skill sets. It's a problem a lot of people are facing today in IT. Software engineers in particular are the people who are on tender hooks today, because if they don't learn new things in life, they are going to be obsolete.
AI.
One of my best friends is a software engineer, and he tells me, he said, what we learned in college is totally irrelevant today. Because what was taught to us in the 90s and early 2000 doesn't exist anymore. And it's the same thing that applies in life as well. Like you said, AI. Okay? Up till a few months ago, we never knew what AI was all about. Before coming here, I was doing my research on the book also. I was refreshing my memory on the book, right? And I was reading some of the articles, and I was reading I'm still a very reading person, okay? So I don't like to listen to audiobooks or anything. Unfortunately, a copy of this book is not with me. It's back home in Dubai. So I was just going through a few transcripts online about the book, etc., a few excerpts. And I was telling my son about this, that today's topic is about Richest Man in Babylon. I can show it to you on my phone. In 2 minutes, he sent me the entire summary of the book using AI. And I was like, okay, I've been trying to research this book for the last 1 hour, and all it took him was 2 minutes to send me a summary.
Possibly he's not even read the book. Possibly.
He's not read the book.
Possibly.
He's not read the book, I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
He's 11 years old, he hasn't read this book yet. I told him to read it, it's a different story, but he hasn't read the book yet. But the fact is, he was able to use a tool and give me a summary of the book in 2 minutes, which I was struggling for the last 1 hour to find excerpts. Okay? And I have to admit, a few of these notes I made out of his sharing itself.
I'll also share one personal example.
Yeah.
And what he said was invest in yourself, which means there's some initial outlay that you will have to do, and then the fruits will come. Investment is like this: first you put some money, and then some money comes back to you. I faced a very peculiar situation about a course, and it was nothing to do with my career. It was about sleep science. So there's a website called masterclass.com, and I happened to explore that website, and I found that there's this course on sleep science which teaches you how to sleep better. Now, it's been about 6 months since I took that course, and I cannot thank myself enough for taking that course. I don't know how much I paid, because it was so beneficial that I made the money, like through sleep, through better sleep. It teaches you how much coffee you should drink, when to drink, how much you should sleep, in what cycles you should sleep, how much you should sleep during the day, how much you should sleep during the night, all of that. So it also applies equally to personal life, that
Yes.
if you're struggling with something, seek help, but also try to invest in that. Now I can honestly say, if I'm sleepy, I don't talk to anyone. I just sleep. It doesn't matter how much work is left, how much the book is interesting, how much I need to scroll. You need to sleep.
You need to sleep. It is a reality. If you don't invest in your own skills, it's not going to help you. Because eventually those skills over a period of time, directly or indirectly, will help you enhance your ability to make more money in your professional life. Like he gave an excellent example of sleep science. Okay? We don't realize that, but if we are able to sleep well, we are a better person the next day when we go to our work. Right? Imagine we've slept only for 2 hours or 3 hours and then we have to go to work next day. How are we going to do justice to our work itself? That's going to cause a ripple effect because your work will get impacted, your performance will be impacted, your boss will notice it, your colleagues will notice it, and at the end of the year when appraisal happens, all of this comes into play. Right? And you will realize that, oh, your colleague has got more increment than I have got. We don't realize this, but these are things that matter a lot to us. What we learn, how we do. Sometimes we just don't have to do things just to make money. Sometimes we have to do things because we need to make ourselves better. Sometimes we have to equip ourselves with that thing. And financial freedom also is an outcome of that. Yeah? A lot of people, when they go out to seek help, even with coaches or with learning, with online learning, nowadays people say, oh, you know what, I don't have the time. Many of us say that. When somebody tells me I don't have the time to do something, I just laugh at them. They feel bad about it. But it's a reality. The people who say I don't have time are fooling time itself. Because we have all the time in the world to go through Netflix and watch Netflix for 3 hours or 5 hours, all the time in the world to endlessly keep scrolling on Instagram and YouTube Reels and all of that. But that time we cannot invest wisely in doing something that is needed to enhance our skill sets. And it's not just only skill sets, it's also about doing things which are going to make our life better. Experiences, right? We also need to invest in experiences. We need to invest in creativity. We need to go and do things which give us joy. Like today we've spent so much time, energy, effort, money in coming to this place because we want to learn something new, right? That also is an investment that you are doing. Now, if you walk out of this session and say, you know what, oh, but I didn't make any money out of this session, that's wrong. Because what you're earning is like a knowledge bank. It's a bank. It keeps on growing. It's compound. It's a power of compounding. Something we talk about every week in logotherapy. Because it says that in logotherapy, one of the things that we actually believe is that when you need something desperately, the universe conspires to make that happen. Right? And trust me, there are lots of opportunities like this that have come across where you will realize that you are at the right place at the right time without you knowing that you are there.
Exactly.
Right?
What are the chances?
What are the
You
chances?
came here with a goal and then end up with
With something else. So it's happened with a lot of us. It happens with every one of us. Right? I end up meeting a lot of my clients who I coach today. They are people I don't know. Okay, I started coaching this morning a new client who I met at one of these discussion groups. Okay, and she comes from a conservative family. She's a Muslim. Comes from a family where she's not allowed to talk to other men. Okay, but here we were in the morning today where we were discussing like the most intimate details of her life. And she told me the same thing. She said, you just came like as if, the universe wanted me to have you because I need you right now. I need you to direct me in my life. I need you to tell me what to do because I'm searching for the purpose or the meaning of life. Right? And she was very fortunate because she went and spoke to her husband about me, that I went for this group session and I met this guy and he's a life coach and should I join his sessions? And the husband was very supportive and says, if you feel connected, you should. Now this morning she was telling me exactly the same thing. She said, what were the odds? 2 weeks ago I didn't even know you. And today I'm telling you everything about my life. Right? That is what happens. The universe brings things together for you to happen. The only thing is we should be ready to accept it. Because if we are ready to learn, as the great Gautam Buddha had said, he's the founder of Buddhism, which is a way of life. He had said that only when the student is ready that the teacher appears. It's the same principle as I said, only when you are ready for doing investments or learning about investment that you should go and approach somebody. But if somebody comes and tells you that, I am a teacher, come and learn from me, that's a scam. Be careful with such people. Somebody comes and tells you, I will give you 40% returns on your money. Be very careful with those people because that's a scam.
If I may add something.
Yeah.
Like if I hadn't listened to this podcast, which is like 15 minutes, it wasn't a long one by the way, like the hourly ones we see these days. And hadn't had, like my old self, when I'm talking about the Muhammad from 2 or 3 years ago, he would not be brave to go and ask, hi guys, what are you doing now? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So it just took a little bravery just to ask, what are you doing guys?
Exactly.
Is it for free? Can I stay? That's it.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. So, you need to keep learning, keep educating. The whole world is out there to teach us something or the other, right? And every time you meet someone new, you get a learning out of it. Yeah. So if you are able to enjoy that learning and imbibe it into your life, fantastic. So, I was listening to this one thing when I was doing my research on this book today. There was this one guy who kind of put up a summary on YouTube. And he was saying that, nowadays it's so easy to learn. Learning is at a click of a button. You can't say that, I don't know where to start. It's all there with us. It's on our fingertips. Depends upon us whether we want to learn it or we don't want to learn it. Like I said, we can spend endless hours watching Netflix and not getting anything out of it, or scrolling down those reels and getting nothing out of it, or we can invest the time, energy in learning something. I'm not against entertainment. I'm not saying we should not watch movies or television or anything. We should. That's also an important part of our life. It helps us de-stress. Forgiveness is an important part. That brings us to the last part of what he says in the book, where he talks about charity. So that 10% is actually something from a money point of view you give across as charity. Okay, that is also important because in this world where we live, we should also worry about the world also, per se. We should also think about those who do not have. We should also think about people who live below their means, who are not able to fulfill their basic requirements. Because there is a very famous saying, what you sow, so shall you reap. Right? So today when I give to others, tomorrow if I need it, the universe brings it back to me in some form or the other. Right? It is important for us, it's an important element that we do not forget charity. And charity is not only related to finances. Charity is also related to our thoughts. Charity is also related to our relationships. Sometimes it's important to just give. You said forgiveness. Okay? Sometimes it's important to just forgive in our relationships, in our life, with people around us. Just think as if, you've just given charity and move on. So forgive, but don't forget. So it's important to understand this. You should forgive. And you know why you should forgive? For your own self.
There's one thing I'd like to share when it comes to charity, and it's something very famous. The Prophet Muhammad said that smiling to someone else is also charity.
It is.
So we smile so often if we have a good intention to be charitable. It's something
just
really good. We are
complimenting somebody in the office, for example.
Absolutely.
When you go to work, I kind of try to do this and adapt this in my life. When I go to some place and I see somebody wearing a nice dress or wearing a nice shoe or something, I go and compliment them.
It makes their day.
It makes their day. It doesn't cost me anything. Just saying to them that, oh, what, like how you came in and you said, oh, I like your t-shirt.
Yeah.
It just makes my day. Now, in a way, what you've done is a form of charity. You've given me a compliment. Right? So charity is not just about money. Charity is, of course, if we are able to and we are able to afford it, we should. All of us should. Right? It's part of religion also that we need to donate. We should give it out as well for other people. Of course, nowadays you need to be careful where you are giving also, because there are lots of, again, like I said, a lot of scam organizations also that come in. But if you are able to do something, and I generally have a policy that I don't donate randomly, or I don't give it to some people, some organization randomly, unless I know that I'm involved with them in their efforts of making a difference to people. I generally try to make a difference to people's lives directly. Right? So, for example, like I told you, there was this driver, I gave him the money for his daughter's wedding. Right? Similarly, for example, my grandmother used to fund education for our maid's daughter. Okay? Directly, because we knew that was an impact that was happening. So we can choose what we want to do in life. It's not necessary that we have to just give it to an organization and forget about it. Sometimes when we give to an organization, for all you know, that money is getting used for something else. Then it's not even charity, it's not even solving a purpose. Mentally we are free that we've donated. But sometimes it is not the right way of donation also, because you need to know where your money is going. How is it making a difference to people's lives? How is it really impacting somebody's life? So try to do charity at your own level. Okay, even if one person, we can make a difference in even one person's life, that's good enough for us. So from a charity point of view, like he rightly said, charity is not just about giving money. Charity is also about giving compliments. Charity is also about appreciating others. Charity is also about forgiving people for your own sake and moving on in life. You may choose to work with that person or have that person in our life or not, immaterial, but charity is also about just letting go. Right? Because at the end of the day, what you are doing will come back to you as well. Right? So if we are planting a tree today, it is going to help us only tomorrow. Right? If we plant a tree in our backyard, it's going to grow and it's going to give us shade only, or it's going to give us fruits only. So charity is exactly like that. When we give to others, we always have. The universe takes care of it. We may feel, oh, but I never got any help when I wanted it. Maybe that there is a bigger help that's waiting to happen for you. So always keep that in mind.
So we are supposed to be charitable but not keep hisab.
Yes, you cannot keep account of it. The moment you start keeping account of it, then you're not doing charity. You're doing business. Then you're trading. I gave you this much, how much are you giving me back? Right? And I gave you, when you needed something, I gave you this much money, now I needed to give it back to me. That's not how charity functions.
Last month only.
If you are able to make a difference in even one person's life, that's more than enough for you.
Yes, because the daily culture is always about more people, more shares, more likes.
No, forget about that. You just have to make a difference in one person's life. That's more than enough. And sometimes that one person is actually yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just take care of yourself, you attract positive people around you. Because you were doing this boxing thing and you were trying to coach people and teach them for free or whatever, or motivate them for all of that, because of your positive energy, you attracted somebody and that energy went on to him and he was able to make a difference in his life. If he's now quit smoking and he's started becoming more serious about his life, etc., that's a huge thing you've done for him.
Yes, it's a turnover.
It's exactly. So it's a great power that you have, and you probably didn't realize it, but it's a great power that you have within you to make a difference. And this is what each one of us have to realize. He, for example, is a school teacher.
Yes.
Okay, every day he's making a difference to so many students' lives, right? But trust me, the difference he makes in students' life is not the same. There may be one student who will stick with him for the rest of his life. Like it happened in case of me. I have one teacher, okay, who actually slapped me when I was in grade 3. And that slap till date resonates with me. Okay? Because that made me a better listener. And that whenever I meet that teacher, whenever I go back to India and I meet that teacher, I always thank her for that. And life came a full circle when my professor in college, in my last year of college, told me in front of the whole class that you're a very good listener. And that day I called my teacher and I thanked her again.
But Nitin, it's
yeah, but that doesn't mean you're going to slap anybody, okay?
it also depends.
Nowadays you can't do that.
It also depends on.
The methodology I teach, which is the IP system, it's all about teaching them critical thinking. There is certain syllabus about how to go about it.
But this is not in Saudi school. You are not Saudi, correct?
No.
I thought you were Saudi. Where are you from?
Pakistan.
Oh, good. Yeah, looks like Saudi.
Yeah, you do.
After a few years, we all look like Sadis, so it's okay. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
about the incident you narrated about some teacher who was not very kind to you at that time, it also depends on how you took it. Because there can be 30 students
Absolutely.
and different outcomes for the same.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. In a classroom, there are 30 students, there's one teacher.
Yeah.
The teacher is teaching the same thing to everybody. But somebody will come first, somebody will come 30th in class. Okay, it also depends upon the student's ability to grasp that information.
You could have quit school.
I could have complained about that teacher. I could have quit school. I could have stopped going to her class. I could have done so many things. There are many of my classmates who still remember that incident and said, you got a big spanking that day. I said, of course I did, but you know what? I learned my lesson. I learned an important lesson because I did a major mistake that day.
Yeah.
She gave me a task to do. I did not understand the task fully. I went and did something which caused a lot of harm to everybody in the school. Alright? And then that's the reason why when she discovered it, she came and she slapped me in front of the whole class. But at the end of the day, she told me that if you do not understand something, ask again.
Yeah, but still, she's mistaken. She was mistaken.
No, whether she was mistaken. See, again,
So,
we're talking. See, we're talking about the 80s, okay, when schooling system was very different from today's day and age.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right.
In,
So
in our religion, there's a concept for which is explained in Urdu. When it khata sabab ata ban jaye. So like an error can lead to the reason for blessings. So it is. If you believe in God, then I can say that it is God's doing that error of his teacher led to a blessing for him.
exactly, and I don't consider that as what she did was wrong. I felt that probably I needed that at that point of time. Right? Yes, at that stage, it appeared that it was wrong. I felt embarrassed in front of my whole class. Everybody till date, my friends talk about it or about that incident. But I also acknowledge the fact that it was important for me to learn that way, because after that I realized I created a habit that if I don't understand something, I will ask. Twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, I don't shy away from asking, because if you're giving me a task, if I'm agreeing to take up a task and I don't know how to do it, I should know.
Yeah, you're mistaken.
And I teach this to everybody, that please ask. Yeah. Blame inside. It is the basic thing. No. I mean, I have no reason to share this thing with y'all. But the reason I openly talk about, I even tell my children about this. I said, you guys go to schools and whatever systems today that nobody can raise a finger on you.
Yeah.
We used to stay in a time when teachers used to come and slap us openly and to discipline us. Yes, those were different times. I agree. Today's times are different. But those learnings are something that are applicable even today. Right? So from that point of view, this is what we discussed every week also in logotherapy, that whatever happens for a reason. There is meaning in everything that happens in life.
Message to us
To be better. It is up to us whether we want to look at it as I could have talked about this teacher in a negative fashion. But I don't. I actually respect her more. She is the only one I'm still in touch with. Despite so many years. It's been like probably 35 years that I must have quit her class or whatever. I still am in touch with her. Why? Because I know she made a major impact on my life. She made me a better person. Right? Other than that, I am not in touch with anybody else from my school or from my college. So it depends upon us how we want to look at it and how we want to take that message, if we want to really be a difference. So to sum it up, 5 key learnings out of the book, Richest Man in Babylon. Always pay yourself first. Very important. 10% of your salary should come to you. Okay? Control your expenditures. Live below your means. Extremely critical, because if you are going to live beyond your means, you're in for trouble for the future. Right? Save for the future, very important. Invest in places where you could earn passive income. Don't understand it, go and seek help. Educate yourself. That's again very, very important. And finally, invest in charity. Do charity. Charity of mind, charity of thought, charity in actual sense, if you can, because whatever you're going to give back, you're going to get back as well. So keep these things in mind. I think we all will be sorted in terms of our financial management. But it's important to stick to this. Consistency is the key. It shouldn't be that, okay, I've learned something today, from tomorrow I'll start saving 10% of my salary. And I saved it and then next month I'm back to square one. We may have to put some sacrifices today if we want to enjoy a good tomorrow. Okay. So it's important that we kind of start living and adapting these principles. And these principles, like I said, these are from 3,000 years ago. A book that was written almost 100 years ago. And we are still discussing it. So learn from it and benefit out of it. Right? So
Thank you so much.